messed up last time.
I did mess up. My camera messed up.
Yeah.
It's the cost of being poor. Anyway, October Reds, welcome back, Eddie. How are you?
I'm very good. Hopefully this time, after a great chat, the memory... Is it a new camera? Same camera?
Same camera.
Okay. We'll have to work on that.
We're cooking on gas.
Good.
But listen, thank you very much for inviting me here. It was a lovely presser. A presser that could have gone totally left and not even meant to be.
Yeah, I mean, you can see by the swankiness of this hotel how much this room cost us. And by the way, if we didn't do a show, we would have just had this room. So we'd already paid for it, so I thought we'd better do the show, you know. But just shows you the size of an AJ event. You walk in here and it's got a big event feel, you know. There's more media here than there was for the Dillian White press conference. And obviously there's been a lot that's happened this week. We're glad to have an event that goes ahead. Great fight, I still think, and a really good undercard. And for the Zone subscribers, congratulations, no longer pay-per-view. So it all costs us a load of money, but you get a result on Saturday night. So good luck.
It's absolutely crazy because I can remember the Jermaine Franklin presser and we were talking about the Simon Jordan show, how you weathering storms.
Yeah.
Obviously the Conor Ben stuff, and then this time it's not Conor Ben, even though it turned into the Conor Ben show again. It was literally Dillian White. Getting that news after everything that's happened, like you said, the storms you had last time, dealing with it again, your initial thoughts when you saw that document come through and say adverse?
Honestly, I could spin it and tell you a story, which I do most of the time, which was I was on my knees, I thought not again, and you know, I was just like, I think I was outside and I was on East Coast time and I think I just got it and I just shut my eyes. I just looked up as if to say, done me again. I can't believe it. How many more, like, you know, why? And then it was like, all right, look, it's almost like, I can't say it was laughable because it was terrible, but it was like, you know, and anyway. So then it was just like, okay, deal with it. What are you going to do? And the first thing was to speak to AJ. Obviously speak to the other team members, but it was, I think, 2 o'clock in the morning UK time. I didn't want to message AJ. I didn't want to make sure he sleeps. And then when I woke up in the morning, which was probably like, I don't know, midday UK time, I had a text from about 1 million people, but also from AJ, which said, I'm really sorry. He said, I know how hard you work on these events and your team works, and I just want to say it's never taken for granted. And I was like, mate, don't worry about me. What about you? You've trained for 12 weeks. All of a sudden you're thinking, am I getting paid? Like, what am I doing? You've got all the fighters on the undercard, some of which rely on this fight to you know, even allow them to live and not have to get a proper job, if you like. And I just said to AJ, like, what do you want to do? And he was like, fight. Who can we get? Like, I've trained, I feel great. And I was like, when I heard that, I thought, I'm so happy because I would have hated to have cancelled the event. Then it was a case of going out searching the world for who. And who was legitimate. Like, who we could sign in 24 hours. Not someone who we find out's got 5 different managers and a promotional contract with that person. Someone we know is honest, will give it his best, is ready to fight, has trained to fight, and everything ticked the box of Robert Helenius. So obviously he was driving to an arena when he got the news, and his lawyer texted me and said, listen, we're having an 8-round fight in the next 4 hours. If we come through, we want the fight. And I thought, wow, you're ready. You know, I saw him fight and we got the deal done. So I think it's a good fight, big lump, you know, and a proper fight.
As you know, as a key promoter in the boxing industry, you're always going to face criticism. One of the major ones was, why, Robert? Why not kind of like switch the fighters around, such as Gerald Washington or Philip Hrgovic? People have often said, you know, Philip Hrgovic could have been a total banana skin for AJ. Your thoughts on that? And is that the reason why you possibly steered away from an opponent like that?
So I think Helenius is more credible than Washington. I know Washington beat him many years ago, but you have to look at Gerald Washington hasn't won a fight for 3 years, maybe. I mean, he hasn't boxed for 18 months. So you can't really win because we considered Washington. I thought to myself, we're going to get a lot of stick for Washington. You know, the only stick with Helenius is he got banged out early by Wilder. But it's like, that can happen to anyone. He actually forced the fight and walked onto a right hand. You know, I'm more concerned about, he's in training camp. He's just prepared. He's just won. Like, I don't want someone to come over and go, well, I got the call on Sunday and then, like, you know, weren't even training. No excuses here. So Hrgovic was never ever discussed because his team never come on, and he also has a world title shot. All he's got to do is beat Dempsey McKean. He's fighting Usyk. So he would have wanted a fortune. And by the way, that's a tough fight for AJ. I don't even know if 6 days to go whether we go into that fight, you know. Dempsey McKean, he's a southpaw, you know. Chisora put his name in the hat. Washington put his name in the hat. But, you know, all things considered, I'm pretty confident we made the right choice. And when I saw Helenius today and I saw the face-to-face, I thought to myself, yeah, we've got a real fight here, and I'm glad we chose him.
Talking about Derek Chisora, there was something that surfaced online. I think it was a conversation with David Hay. It may have been seconds out, correct me if I'm wrong. David Hay said that he spoke to Chisora a week before, and Chisora had sort of like started a rumour that Dillian Whyte was possibly not playing fair.
Yeah, interesting. I mean, you never know with Derek. Like, I don't know if he knows what he's saying half the time or whether he's on a wind-up, but certainly, you know, I got asked that by the media to say, did Derek Chisora know something? I'm like, no. It was like 10 days before we'd even got the results. So absolutely not. Sometimes you can see something. Sometimes you can hear something. Like, I don't know. You hear a lot of bullshit in the boxing world. But also at the same time, I don't know. I was very surprised because, you know, I want to believe Dillian Whyte. And I also know that he knows what he signed up for. And he knows he's going to get tested 2-3 times a week, like in a massive fight. Like, he's got professional people around him, and none of it makes sense, but it happened. So it's like, we can't just say that's ridiculous. Like, so you have to go through the process now. The problem is, which was the same thing with Conor Benn, what is the process? Who does he report to now to try and clear his name? And I don't know the answer to that, but he has to try and clear his name because no one will ever forgive him or want him to see him fight until he goes through the process, as we've seen with Conor. Conor's gone through 2 processes. He's been not charged in any of them and cleared in both of them effectively, but still people are saying, no, that's not good enough. It's like, what? You can't do any more. So Dillian's going to have to go through some process to convince people that he's innocent.
And that is literally an uphill battle, as you've said, with Conor Benn. It's the same thing. It's like once you've...
We're 13, 14 months in. Has Dillian got 13 or 14 months to give his energy to this? Do you know what I mean? But at the same time, I like Dillian Whyte, you know, and I don't always see eye to eye with his management, but I would not want to think that he would do something like this. So hopefully he can find a way to prove and convince people that he is innocent.
The only thing I will say, and this is just me, my personal opinion, neither here nor there, that it was almost like the timing of it was so similar to Conor's. It was like, hold on a minute, it's like the week of the fight, the brow of the fight.
I mean, like, I had a lot of people phoning me up saying, do you think someone's just out to get you? And I'm like, nothing would surprise me, but you know, you're accusing some serious foul play there, and you know, I don't believe that. But who knows? But more importantly, you know, that's proven to be in his system, and there has to be an explanation.
So we move forward, Eddie. I know you're pushed for time. So one of the things that I did want to touch on, and it was a credit to IFL. You had a conversation with Kugan Cassius on YouTube on Zoom, about the purse bids with Jai Opataia and Richard Riakporhe. Richard Riakporhe put out a statement to say that we've accepted offers twice. My team and I feel like we've been kind of like hard done by, whatever it is, and we've decided to go another route. Thank you, blah, blah, blah. Jai Opataia then releases like to say, hold on a minute, this has happened with Masternak. We were in conversations with Boxer, and it seems as if the breakdown in communication is when you took Jai Opataia down as your fighter.
No, I think the breakdown in communication is Boxer don't want to go into a purse bid. Now, the reason being, 1, maybe they can't financially compete in a purse bid, or 2, they don't want to run the risk of losing that fight off their platform and put them in a difficult situation in terms of their relationship with their broadcaster. Now, when you tell a fighter to put out a statement, mate, I'll tell you something now, you need to get a backbone. I love Richard Riakporhe. I think he's a good fighter. Fraser Clark, I love Fraser Clark. mate, you two have been mugged off. That's the situation. Your credibility among fight fans and in the industry now is at an all-time low. And it really affected Fraser. I know that for a fact, right? But more than that, you have removed the opportunity to fight a life-changing fight against the best in the division for the IBF and the Ring Magazine Championship. I was going to bid a fortune yesterday for that fight. And when some people say, we accepted 2 offers. No, you didn't. We made an offer and you came back with a ridiculous amount of questions about, we want to speak to the government, we want to do this. You know, we don't need to provide that information. There's the offer. If we talk about escrow, it's no problem. But it was just ridiculous. So we decided with Tasman Fighters, let's go to purse bids. And listen, we'll take our chances. Boxer will make a big play to get their fighter a championship fight in London. We'll bid big to do it in London or Queensland. And their bum went. That's all. But what really pisses me off is that a fighter's made to make a statement. They're talked into it. That fighter, the representative, who's the manager? Who's the lawyer that turns around and goes, whoa, hang on a minute. Because when you say in that statement, we've run out of time, you know, the purse bid was in 3 hours. Run the purse bid. If you don't like the money or the location, pull out then. Don't battle away with the IBF to make sure that you're mandatory and Jai Opataia can't fight anybody else. Waste Jai Opataia's time for 5 weeks messing around to pull out on the day of the purse bid because, you know, you're tired of being messed around. Shut up. And for these fighters, I feel sorry for them getting mugged off. I really do. And it's not an attack on other promotional companies. It's just, it drives me mad when fighters are talked into something like that. You know, I'm sure they've said, what we'll do is we'll get you the Masternak fight and then we'll get you the winner of Billum Smith against Akoli next year. And why? You got it now. It's on a plate. You got a gift. I think they talked Masternak out of taking the mandatory so Riakporhe could get it. Now they're probably going to do Riakporhe v Masternak. It's a bloody dangerous fight, by the way. Like, Richard's a good fighter. He can punch. He's a good lad. If he beats Opataia, he's a superstar. And he can fight unification fights, everything. But if you don't want the fight, no problem. But don't take it to the line, to the wire. Don't worry about messing me around. Don't mess other fighters around. You know, Opataia, they've treated Opataia like shit. They really have. And also, same with Fabio Wardley and Fraser Clark. And look at Fraser Clark now. It's affected him. Do you know what I mean? I can't stand it.
Well, then moving forward, you know, like I said, your position, you're very key in boxing. Is there any contingency moving forward that we could have in place? Say, for example, if certain things have been, like you said, Jai Opataia, we want him to fight Richard Riakporhe next, that the British Boxing Board of Control could get involved to say, look, if you keep pulling out or these things keep on happening, we're going to have to like review stuff? I don't know.
The first one was Fabio Wardley against Fraser Clark was a British Boxing Board of Control purse bid. This was an IBF purse bid. If you get to a situation where they keep on pulling fighters out, maybe the board say, guys, we're not going to be as willing to put your guys in that mandatory position. But the board generally deals with the management side rather than promotional side. I just want to know who the manager is. You know, I mean, I can search it up on but listen, unless you've been offered something ridiculous, but don't pull out on the morning of the purse bid. That's not being offered something ridiculous. That's just gone, shit, we can't do a deal. I can't make this bid. We could lose. Richard, you're going to have to pull out because I can't, on your contract, you can't not fight on Sky. If you sign that contract, you're an idiot. You can't go into a purse bid for a world title fight and have to fight on Sky. You fight on whoever wins the purse bid. It's the promoter's obligation to make the bid in line with your agreement. If you're making 500 grand for a world title fight, that's what he's got to bid. Or he's got to top up your purse to that level. You've got to bid to that amount. You know, we have things in our contract where if we lose a purse bid, we'll take a percentage of the fighter's purse. But he fights. It's not you can't go in for a purse bid, because then what fighter's going to sign that? You know, with Fraser Clark, it was a British title fight. This was a world title fight. Like, this ain't a joke, you know. So, and I know what I was going to bid. Listen, I weren't looking forward to the bid. It was going to be spiteful for me. But Riakporhe was going to make a nice few quid, and it was going to be a great fight, one of the best in the division. Once again, we can talk about, we want to work with everybody. We want to do you really? No, not in a million years. But people see. Just like yesterday with Simon Jordan, people see. And, you know, it's nice every now and again for people to go, blimey, we blame someone else other than Eddie. But it'll only last a day.
It will only last a day. The final one is obviously purse bids with Fabio Wardley. once again, the British title belt with David Adelaide. What's happening with that?
So that's delayed while negotiations go on. Dillian White's team are speaking direct to Frank Warren's team about that fight. Fabio's not under long-term contract with us, but we were ready to bid today, and we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens with our relationship with Dillian White as well and his team and management. So who knows? But it's a good fight, and I do believe that fight will happen.
Do you think that it will go to Frank then because of the possible management situation?
Not just necessarily that. We told Fabio's team we're not prepared to do anything but a multi-fight deal. Every fighter that we represent has a multi-fight contract, and Fabio and Dillian were always on fight-by-fight basis, and we just, we can't plan a fighter's future like that. So we are discussing a multi-fight deal, but maybe they just do a deal for the one fight. I'm not so sure. I don't think, again, I just hope that the fighter gets the right advice and also has the backbone sometimes to say, I want to do what's best for me.
And on that note, Eddie, it's an absolute pleasure, and I look forward to seeing you fight night and in Birmingham next week.
Will do. I sold a lot of tickets in Birmingham. We're buzzing for that. It'll be a big night. Thank you.
Hi, and thank you for watching October Red Boxing. Like, subscribe, and tap the bell for notifications. You can also find us on Instagram at October Red Boxing and on Twitter, October Red UK. And remember, at October Red, we stay ready.